Bills and manifests are going around. We do not need a non-public session, so we're going to go right to opening public comment. Anybody? No? Going once? Going twice? Okay, any board public comment?
I am okay.
You're good? You don't even know what you're doing yet?
I don't.
Okay.
Just checking things off.
Keep
A
checking.
little too late. All right, so
But we're moving fast.
We're moving quickly.
we are done with opening public comment. We have minutes to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes of December 1st.
Second.
Discussion. I have just one. There was one place I just need to, sorry, I should have written it down. One place where it's Miss Lenharth, and I think you had her name there as Hearth. That's all.
Oh. Renhard, I have?
Yeah. Well, it's or Hart or something like that. Her name is Lenharth. This is a science teacher. It's on page. It's on line 248 on page. It says 8 on the bottom.
PH?
Lenharth.
You pass that to
Mrs. Hart?
Yeah, it should be Lenharth.
Oh.
I assume you said Lenharth because that's the science teacher's name,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
We also have some non-public minutes.
Motion to approve the non-public minutes of December 1st.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the minutes, 3-0. Business Administrator's Report.
My report begins on page 12 with financial highlights. Everything in regards to revenue has been entered to date. Bank reconciliations have been done through November. And I left my little blurb in there about the co-brown tuition students because I know that kept coming up and I haven't received any other questions. So if people are still confused, I'll try anything else. But if not, then I'll just delete that little blurb because I was confused because people were confused. So I just wanted to leave it there for one more month.
Sure.
Currently, right now, there's $427,000 left unexpended in the operating budget. And the capital reserve funds have been paid out, so that is now reflected in here at the end of the report. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless anybody has any specific questions.
When you say unexpended, does that mean it's unencumbered as well?
Yes, unencumbered, unexpended, yep.
And some of that's in those lines that we've always said that we would not use. Well, one of them was Co-Brown, and we're already overspent on that.
Right.
So, and the other
Right.
one was,
Special ed and insurance.
Yeah, if you look at, specifically, if you look at your high school special education lines, one of your tuition lines has a fair amount left in it. And I've reduced that line for next year. I just checked it in the
Yep.
operating budget, so. But all the activity in that line's not done yet either. That was
So
a,
like any of the
like
tuition, any of the health
120,000.
insurance, anything like that.
health insurance, we're already 18 over. Dental.
Any other questions for monthly financials? Okay, moving on. In our agenda, we have the proposed budget, default budget, and warrant articles final. Is there something we need to do for those, or we're all
no,
done?
those were purely for information for you folks.
Okay, it's not in the packet,
It's
so
the no, it's the packet that I passed out.
They were handed out.
I didn't get those.
You did, I stole it.
Thank you. Any other questions for our business administrator? on to the principal's report.
I guess I do. So I asked a question last time. I wanted to know what the final number of our surplus was. I emailed you, didn't really get an answer. I emailed Bob, still haven't got an answer. What was our, and your email did not even come close to answering the question I asked, so.
It was emailed today, because I didn't get that response, I think, until like Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, the second response.
So it was emailed today,
So
so.
I emailed it out today, I didn't, I emailed it to Bob, and I think he asked me questions, I got back to him, and then I thought he was sending it out to all of you guys.
Nothing came today.
Because it didn't come to me, it went to Bob, and then Bob forwarded it to me.
Yes, I asked you the question at the meeting, and then I emailed you, or
Right.
you emailed me, which didn't answer my question. What was our surplus?
I don't remember now. It was in my email.
Thank
It was
you.
in the email I sent Tim.
5.
Like, did you guys get an email?
Not today,
Today?
but not today, that last one we got, though. Wasn't today, though.
Okay, principal's report, please.
$514,000. 514,625 was the unexpended balance, which is a $7,397 difference from what I reported to them because of an audited journal entry.
Okay, and that had nothing to do with the warrant articles or anything. So our overage was $514?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I'm glad I brought that with me.
All right, so in my written report, I provided an update on staffing. Assuming you approve all nominations tonight, we will be fully staffed in terms of people who work directly with children, and then we will just be looking for custodians. So that is good news. I also provided some highlights from the Co-Brown transition survey. The building leadership team actually went through the full survey, and really more identified a lot of questions. I think that was the first time they'd had a chance to dig into that information, and so we plan to revisit it. But I did break out some of the more important parts. I thought I did adjust. I just wanted to point out students don't attend all of the related arts every quarter, so the initial data looked skewed for related arts because it was asking kids who hadn't taken music yet, for example, how well did Northwood prepare you? So I adjusted the numbers to reflect just students who have actually experienced those related arts, so those are marked with the asterisk. Overall, 65+% of kids, except for in a couple areas, say that they're feeling well prepared. One thing that the building leadership team thought was, these are ninth graders in late October of their freshman year. Is that the best time? Are we getting them the highest quality data from them? So we'll continue to explore options and talk with Co-Brown and see about administering it again in the spring or only in the spring, moving on. In terms of assessment data, down at the very bottom of page 23, I have a typo, and I apologize for that. That's the second meeting in a row where I've brought a mistake, and I hate that. But I wanted to point it out because, so 35% of Northwood juniors were proficient or above on the science kneecap, and 44% of CBNA juniors were proficient or above, and it should say 33% of New Hampshire juniors. So Northwood students are doing better than the state, but not as well as all Co-Brown juniors. The assessment data continues on to page 24. In reading, Northwood students are pretty close to the rest of Co-Brown. And as far as the SAT goes, Northwood students are doing slightly worse than Co-Brown juniors in general, but much better than the state in terms of their performance on the SAT. It's a 4-point difference between Northwood and the state on reading, and a 10-point difference between Northwood and the state on math. So I think that is definitely worthy of being a highlight. So as I said, the building leadership team will keep looking at this data and continue to explore ways that we can improve these numbers. Any questions on that? I also provided some information on some fundraising efforts. I really have to commend our students and our staff for their interest in collecting money and donating to charity. We just did some fantastic food drive type stuff, and moving into the holidays, people are interested in continuing to give to those in need, so very commendable on that. Shane had asked a question about valve actuators, and I apologize because Tom showed me what a valve actuator looks like, which was very nice of him, but I still don't really understand what it does. So this is this is straight from him, that the ones that had been purchased last year with extra funds have been used, new ones are purchased, and they're being replaced as they fail. I provided you with some information on what various committees are working on. Again, I want to commend, most of these committees are meeting outside of the school day, and so I really want to thank our staff for committing that time beyond their school day. Dr. Kavanaugh wrote a separate memo regarding curriculum, which I'll address in a second. And then there's just a few things for your approval. So turning to page 26, Dr. Kavanaugh's report, she just identified some long-term goals that she and I have talked about, and then she provided some progress on where she is at with those goals. And I want to say I'm feeling very fortunate to have her on staff. She knows her stuff, and she's very efficient and productive, and I'm enjoying the opportunity to work with her. I think that's it, unless there are questions.
Do you want to go over your action items and things like that?
So fourth grade is interested in collecting monetary donations. They would then use that to purchase gift cards and donate the gift cards to the fire department. This is a fundraiser that they've done in years past. Fifth grade is looking to collect money to then purchase toys and donate the toys to the fire department. And Life Touch has provided a commission check from Fall Pictures in the amount of $676, which I believe gets deposited into the yearbook account in student activities.
Do we need to take them individual, or can we just,
No, I think we can do them together if you want.
I'd like to move them all. Third grade, fourth, fifth grade.
Fourth, fifth, and Life Touch.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Unanimously.
Thanks for including the letter from Alexis Jorgensen. That's adorable. Very cute. She did a good job. I sent a text to the father about that.
Oh, good.
I thought that was well done.
And a quick turnaround. She came and spoke with me verbally, and I said, "Oh, well, we need to put it in writing. Do you want to do that?" And she was very excited to do it and produced the letter the next day. So
Nicely done.
Any other questions for the principal? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Young. We'll move on to the enrollment report.
Enrollment reports on page 36 to 38 of your packet.
No significant change. Looks of things.
Change?
It's like a few here and there, up and down, but
A minor.
yeah,
Wasn't a great bubble.
right. Do you know, with Co-Brown, they used to tell us that students coming in and out on this form, is that still the case? And just hasn't been any-
Over on page 38 to the, where it says grade 9, 10, 11, 12, if there was any movement there in that blank space, it would say in or out, and it would give dates.
Thanks. All right, unless there's any questions about the enrollment, we'll move on to our first reading of the policies. Did everybody get a chance to review these policies in the packet? I believe we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is a new policy, this IMDA.
Patriotic exercises is a recommended policy to align with amendments due to the passage of House Bill 1300. These legislative amendments require school districts to engage in certain patriotic exercises, so that's the policy that aligns with that. So it is new.
I would like to make a motion to move these to second reading. No? Well, I
Second.
Either.
I made the motion, Bree seconded.
Seconded. Oh, you seconded.
Sorry. She was split second before you. Any discussion on any of these policies?
Can I just explain to the board members where to find the changes in the policy?
Sure.
So, just so you know. If you look at so let's take page 40, for example. Right behind page 40 is the model policy from New Hampshire School Boards Association. And you see where it says NHSBA note, September 2016? That's where you can see the changes that are recommended in all the I try to put that in for folks so they can just go right to why.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. Does this get us caught up? Are we up to date now with the legally required policies?
No.
No, okay. All right. How far away are we
Policies
on
are
that?
never really done.
Yeah,
I think we have like 2 or 3 left. Does that sound right? Mrs. Hartford, up the fall update?
I believe so.
We sent some out to the nurse to review. And I think that's about it. We're waiting for those back, and then we'll have a meeting probably right after vacation.
Yeah, as we say, probably
Yeah.
after the vacation.
Yep.
okay, great, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor of moving these to a second reading? Aye. Any opposed? Abstaining? I guess I'm agreeing with one abstention. Yep. Superintendent's report.
Update my notes.
His letter was cute.
You have
Oh,
a-
yeah, shoot, good job.
You have a personnel report in your packet. I also have another personnel report that I passed out to you. We'll deal with the one in the packet first. Maybe. Starts on page 52. So I'll nominate Mary Hendrick as a special ed para.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Carries 4-0.
And I'll move Dorothy Hardy as a long-term substitute, and the rates are listed on the personnel report.
So moved.
Second, what is the substitute for?
Special
Okay.
educator.
Especially,
Her resume is in the packet?
any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Now I'll move on to the personnel report that I passed out. Nominate Alicia Quinney as a NEC tutor.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? She's been subbing for a while. I'm glad to see her finally come on. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. I'm going to go with unanimous on that.
And the rest, the 3 different boards do this different ways. Do you
No, they're-
nominate stipends, or those informational?
Informational.
Okay. And the rest is informational stipends on that report.
Be brought forward.
We move down to the CBNA transition survey. Ms. Young has already reported on that, so we don't need to do anything with that.
I'm sorry, so
The actual statement.
we don't approve stipends anymore?
We haven't done that for a while.
Moved them. I just.
Are these in the budget?
I believe they are.
I'm sorry, I missed the discussion. The stipends, you mean? Yes. This is part of their contract. And their, we had a closed committee meeting.
Did you want to go over anything new with the transition survey?
No, Ms. Young covered
She
it.
covered it for you? Okay, so you're all set with that. Anybody have any additional questions on that while we're here on the agenda? Okay. Seeing no new business, we'll go to committee reports.
Budget committee met on Saturday, approved the budget for 2017-18 as it stands, approved all of the warrant articles as written with the exception of the para contract, which they just got that day, so they will be reviewing that and voting on that on January 9th at their work session.
Any other committees meet? I know the policy committee, we saw your work. I don't know if anyone wants to.
We met, we
You
did
met.
some
You
policies,
did.
we gave them to you.
We're done with contract negotiations, that's good, so we don't even worry about those anymore for meetings.
I'm excited to read those minutes.
Oh, are we supposed to keep minutes?
No, I mean,
No.
minutes that you just said.
Yep, right.
We met, we talked about policies.
Yeah.
It's good.
And we gave them to you, and you approved them.
Those were the minutes.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
kidding.
we might take minutes for those, so, committee
If
meetings.
you, well, there's two different schools of thought on that.
Yeah.
We can. I mean, that would be the minutes.
Right, well, minutes just have to say
Right.
who was there and what, I know the tech committee does keep minutes, but we don't distribute
Oh, I
those.
have a meeting on Tuesday with the calendar committee
Coming
coming up. So that's new. I've never been to one of those before.
Coming up this Tuesday?
This Tuesday at 3:30.
Do we have our parent volunteer?
I think we do.
Okay.
Can't remember who it is. It was in the email.
Don't forget to take minutes.
Never taken minutes at those too either.
We met, we talked about the calendar.
I'm getting how it goes now, thanks.
One thing I have noticed still is that in February, the school start and stop time is still not on our, like, school board responsibilities or whatever. It's still not on here, and it's still in the back of my mind, because
Are
we
you talking about
missed
the
that.
parking lot?
Yeah, because we missed that deadline sort of last year. And it's not in March either, but I'd like it in the February one.
School start and stop time, yeah, I think that's.
Because it's a
Yep.
March date, I just can't remember off the top of my head what the
Yep.
date was. Do you remember, Tim?
I'm sorry, what?
What the date was in the contract for that we have to let the teachers know by for the time, the start and stop time of the school year? It's March something, and that's why I want it in February.
Can you make a note to add that to our timeline, please, for February?
I just don't want it missed again.
Yeah,
Why don't we find the date first, and then we'll...
I just can't remember off the top of my head.
you came prepared.
Probably never
Every
will
week
do.
this is in here. That's the way- okay.
While we're waiting for Scott, does anyone have any preferences for the calendar that we should tell Ms. Gunter when we choose their meeting, the board preferences? I know the only thing that I recommend is that we don't have school, or at least have early release on the day of the fair, the Friday of the fair, because
What fair?
Deerfield Fair.
Oh.
It's only one fair,
No, there's more than one fair, but
the one that matters.
I don't know if you meant like a school fair. I
No,
didn't know
no,
you
no.
meant the fair. Got
When
it.
we don't have, and Ms. Young may not be aware of this, when we do have school scheduled for that day, the Friday, Deerfield Fair, nobody shows up. So it's
interesting.
almost not even worth having
So
school.
you don't want to have school on Friday of the Deerfield Fair.
Which is unfortunate, because it usually works right around when a teacher workshop is. Like, a teacher workshop is like the following week or something like that, or the previous week, and it's unfortunate, but yeah. I think it's probably a good idea to try to avoid that day, because
Duly
the
noted.
kids won't be here anyway.
August.
Anyone else have any comments for Bree, for the calendar committee?
No, but while you're in there, I can't remember what it says.
What?
What does it say about the start date also?
You mean for next year?
For, in general, it's like the August, the,
We'd have to look at the proposed,
Oh, the-
well, I mean,
oh yeah, we didn't change anything
Every-
about that.
all right.
Yeah,
No, definitely.
Well, right now I'm working on the calendar,
yeah.
and I can't find any language. This is what it says. The school calendar shall be determined by a committee of 2 school board members, 1 administrator chosen by the board, and 2 teachers chosen by
No,
the
this is the work day.
She's talking about the work.
Yeah,
day.
this is the work day. It would be under the work day.
Right, but, so, let me get through the first question, which was...
No, the work day is the first question, though. That'll be under the work day, not the, so
All right.
that's where you'll find it, is wherever the work day is.
School day, probably 6 hours and 30 minutes. 5 minutes prior. Available, the calendar, 187 days prior to the first student day, and will not be earlier than Tuesday of the last full work week in August.
29th can be the earliest, yeah.
It doesn't say when we have to have it set, right?
It does not say that. Here.
Maybe that was in
We're
the
gonna
old,
be
discuss
somewhere
that
else.
on Tuesday. so-
yeah.
There's a March date that the start and stop time has to be.
Let's put it on for February, and then we
Yeah,
can
that's
do
what
the
I want,
research
is
and
that
figure that out.
first, yeah. I can't remember.
So if you could just please make a note to do the
do
school
that.
start and stop time in our February not parking lot, February timeline.
I just get right out of.
Any other committee reports? Oh, I did, that's right. I did have one person come up to me after the budget committee meeting, Mr. Kreider, who is our town moderator. Wanted to check to see if any of us had any problem with him moderating the town, the school part of the budget in the public hearing at the deliberative session. So, just in case he's afraid he might not seem objective or may look bad if he's doing it because he voted against our budget. So,
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Mr. Kreider,
Yes.
our town moderator, came to me with the concern that if any of us felt concerned about him moderating our school deliberative session in February, he would be happy to step aside and let somebody else do it, if we were worried about him not being objective.
He was worried about me not being.
What's that? Oh, as a town moderator?
Well, no, me, I'm saying as a school board member presenting the budget. That's right. He was worried about me not being.
Well, anyway,
so-
he just wanted to point out that if anyone had any concerns, he'd be happy to step back and let somebody do it. I pretty much told him I don't think anyone did have any concerns, but if anyone does, let me know, we can talk to him. No, I don't think so. I think he'll do a fine job.
He has done a fine job.
Yeah.
He is a good, he's a very good
He has
moderator.
done a very fine job.
March 30th.
The other thing is that he wants the presentation that we usually do given to him a week before. So it's just something we'll have to think about going forward. That should not be a big deal.
Before the,
Week before the deliberative
The
session, so it's
deliberative.
on his computer and he can get it all set up and stuff, so.
got it.
I will, if anyone has any input for that, let me know, send it to me and I'll maybe start trying to put that together. We'll work with Dr. Yomsi to do so. Parking lot items,
So, March 30th is the date.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, in February is probably good, like if we discuss it the first one in February to,
yep, because,
as much as I hate to say it, is to put the notice out to Ms. Delisandro and make sure that what we're doing is okay with her, so that,
Isn't your first meeting in February your deliberative session?
oh, then I guess
no,
our.
it's on the same week.
Oh, that's right, it's the 6th,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
I-
some people substitute that.
We could consider that, but I don't think we're set up to do that yet.
That way we just get that out there.
Regardless, if we put it on the parking lot, we'll see when we're in January and February to, I always look 1 month ahead too to see what we should be doing. And I don't think there's any, in our parking lot, I don't think there's anything in the cafeteria ceiling or the CIP plan or strategic planning, which we'll probably address at our next meeting. Strategic planning, again. So could you guys be ready for that, perhaps, in our January meeting? Not to say that we will definitely make a decision, but we should have it on the agenda. Looking forward to January. Discussion of school calendar with the board is in January. See that?
The calendar,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Bree's meeting with the calendar.
That seems a little late. Oh,
I can
actually,
report on it, that's fine.
No,
It's
I
not
think
gonna be
that's
made a
usually when we,
decision.
I think that's when we've always met, is January,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Warrant articles, summer school planning, second January meeting. Then we can,
You can begin regular ed summer school planning, but it's a little early for.
this is for January anyway, not for now.
Well, no, but, so, the legal requirements, if it's a ESY, Extended School Year Services, those teams have to meet before April 30th. So we won't have firm ESY numbers until right around there. So I'm not quite sure why that's so early.
Leave it there for now, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it and see
And
if
plus
there's anything that comes up.
For general ed, do you mind if I talk about general ed?
No, I was going to say this
Okay.
is appropriate because we'll be looking at doing some Title I summer
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah, I mean, we can start that pre-planning, but you still won't have a definitive set of grades to require people to go to summer school yet.
Yep. That's fine. Another thing coming up in January is discussion of athletic programs / coaching with the board. I assume that's for the following year, right? One would think.
Or is that spring
Is that-
sports?
Or is it,
Coaching for spring?
let's see, is it in here for? I'm not sure.
We haven't talked about coaching specifically for fall or winter, so my guess is it's more for the following school
The
year.
following year, like deciding what sports are going to be offered and stuff like that, perhaps, so. Something to think about for one of our January meetings. If you have something, please get it on the agenda and we'll, like some proposed changes or for, even if proposals, just to keep it as is. I don't know if we're going to put it on our January agenda, but if something comes up. All right, future agenda items. We have strategic planning for January 5th is our next regular board meeting. And perhaps some discussion about the sports programs, optionally. Is there anything else anybody would like to see on the agenda for January 5th?
Discussion on impact fees.
Impact fees.
Joe said to tell you, you can't have any of his impact fees.
Maybe Joe should come to
I
this
guess we
meeting.
just had the discussion.
He's supposed to come to a future school board meeting to talk about
Oh.
TIF districts,
Yes.
actually.
Do you know, is that
Tax
the,
incremental.
is that the 5th, meeting of the 5th?
Probably. yeah.
Probably, okay, so let's make sure we get that on
Put
the
that on
agenda.
as an agenda item, and I'll tell him he's locked into that, so.
Did you
Can
want that on the
remind me
next
what
tip?
the impact
TIF,
fees
yeah.
are? Because you talked
Yeah.
about that one time, didn't you? Nottingham.
Yes, and that's why it's coming up in my mind again, because they just had a meeting. So impact fees are a fee that you would charge people who are building a house in town. I think that in Nottingham, it's in the $6,300 range. Certainly, people moving in town impact, especially if they had kids and such. So Nottingham School gets, I believe it's $4,300 out of the impact fees, and I think the money goes to two other places. One is the fire department, and the other is something else. It's not the police, because I asked that. But that all has to come out in the making of it, and Nottingham has $206,000.
And what are TIF? What did you say, TIF?
TIF is the,
district.
that's a different discussion.
Incentive.
That's-
Tax incremental
Tax
financing.
incremental.
Thank you.
You want to know what that is?
I don't
right
know, do
now?
I?
Exciting. Well,
So,
10,000 footballs.
Is it a lot of numbers?
let me give you the quick two-sentence. So you take, not you, but the town defines a section of town where either all or a portion of the taxes collected in that geographical area go into a special fund, and that fund is separate from the general tax fund, and then that money is used for whatever they define
So
the
it's
TIF for.
excess taxes from what is collected like today, like
Yeah,
that
it's
part
the-
stills.
right.
So if there's
So-
improvements, making that money that
I'll
is
give you
improved for
I'll give
taxes.
you an
will
example.
Go back to,
Some sewer improvements within a commercial zone. They'll take that money above and put that in a separate fund for sewer improvements, if that's what is decided that the money's used for.
And there are very good reasons for doing them. And I'm not sure what the reasons here are, and that's something we'll all have to look into, because it's on warrant articles, at least one, maybe two. The problem with them is, not the problem, but the direct result of them is that everybody else not in that TIF has to pay a little more, because it still costs so much to run, in this case, the town. So by taking out a percent, then it raises everybody's up. If it's a noteworthy or necessary or very desirable then the, reason for doing that, then the town would be, the town would vote in favor of it. And that's the argument that has to be portrayed to the town and won over. So, it's, they're taking a portion of the taxes and putting it for a very specific reason, but we still have to operate the town or the school or the whatever.
My understanding of this, and I could well be wrong, was that the amount of taxes that are collected from that district that go to the town and school right now will remain the same.
I'm not sure that's correct.
Okay.
And those are things that we all would have to find out.
Yep.
So at the time that this originally came up, I was involved in it, and I've kind of forgotten a little bit of it because it kind of died away. So I did see on the warrant articles that it's coming up again, and I remember myself as being positive about it, but I honestly feel that you have to look at, all angles of it, because there's going to be a cost elsewhere. We still, if the budget for the school is $12 million, $12 million has to be appropriated. It don't matter what happened in the TIF place. It doesn't matter. $12 million has to be appropriated, period. And that's the end of that conversation. So if they're taking some money, then other money has to be raised to pay that $12 million.
Now, with the other, I forget what it's called already, the other fund that you were talking about, the first one.
That's
The impact fees.
The impact fees?
fees.
Did those have to reach a certain amount before you can start withdrawing from them? Those accounts? No? Okay.
No. So, for instance, in the discussion I was having, Nottingham has a warrant article for kindergarten. They have no place for kindergarten. They don't have a closet for kindergarten. So if it passes, they would have to do something. So they're looking at using the 206, I think, as a means of facilitating, having a facility for kindergarten if it passes. And that's why it came up again. And I mean, I think everybody here understands that schools are always looking for money. Well, if people move into town, and we certainly have that problem on our doorstep this year, to go to Co-Brown, at least we could, with impact fees, get a little of the money in some way. I'm just saying, that's one of the methods. Doesn't mean it would be used for Co-Brown, but schools always need money.
That's only new construction, right?
On new construction, as far as I know, yes.
Development.
Yes.
So the
and-
impact
and
fees, though,
so-
would go through the town, that would be like a warrant article through the town, or would that be a warrant article through the school?
And I'm more than happy to have the conversation, but I think that we should all look into it a little bit, because first off, you have to have a master plan. We do. It's like 16
has
years
to have.
old, yes. And they've been redoing the master plan for 5 years, which drives me absolutely bonkers. I don't even like to talk about it. So that would need to be addressed. You have to have a CIP, so that would have to be addressed. You just can't go out and do something and take a bunch of people's money and do whatever the heck you want with it. You have to have a plan.
Right, there's
You know,
rules about what the money can be used to respond to growth or
Yes.
expanded programs, but you couldn't do something like
Well,
buy a curriculum program K to 8.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
But you could certainly.
And you have to say in there what kind of things you would use it for.
Police department could probably use, police department's
But
office would be good ways to.
If we started, let's say we started today, we're 2 years before we'd even have it, so. And I did bring it up once before, and I'm sad that we didn't follow it up, but, I just throw these things out. I think it would be a wonderful thing to have. I think that people moving into town impact our town and should pay their fair share.
All right, I think that'd be great to have it on the agenda for the 2nd. Anything else we want on the agenda for January 2nd?
January 5th?
January 5th, I'm sorry, 5th, 2nd. 2nd's a holiday, right?
Yes,
I think so.
I think so, too.
yeah, it's a Monday, yeah.
Okay, future meetings coming up, January 5th, and then our regular meeting after that's January 19th, with the joint board on January 23rd. The Budget Committee is having a public hearing on January 12th, and a work session on January 9th. Probably both are at 6:30, Bree, you think?
I think the 7.
7, the work session's at 7?
7.
Is there any closing public comment? Closing comment from members of the board.
I would just like to say congratulations
Oh, yeah.
to the drama club for a job well done on the Jungle Book. They had like a three-week span between, it was last night, 3-week span in between the two shows, and they did a fantastic job. And congratulations to Miss Ford for pulling it all together.
No, I'm not.
And apparently the Select Board came back right in time as well, right?
Yes. What's that? The Jungle Book.
I didn't feel the need to critique you that.
And they're doing Willy Wonka in
worse mistakes than
the
that.
musical in the spring. Or
You had it
the
right in
spring?
the first sentence.
Springish, yes,
Springish, yeah, March.
All right, do we have any need for a non-public at the end? And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was a world record.